Trying to follow a schedule exactly to as it is written down 14 hours in the future is ridiculous. It's not going to happen. You're eventually going to veer off schedule if you have an hour to hour schedule in place, because let's be honest, shit is going to come up that's going to make you veer off that schedule, and in turn you're eventually going to end up stressing yourself out. For my personal schedules, I learned this the hard way by burning out multiple times, by actually trying to write out a hour by hour schedule 12 hours into the future, and I eventually figured out that this is not going to work. To actually be successful, your entire day does not need to be structured like that. A schedule, in my opinion, is only supposed to be there to actually keep you on track. It's not supposed to go exactly according to plan, and trying to keep yourself according to plan is going to make you burn out, get too stressed out, because when you eventually don't get everything done according to plan, which it won't, because you cannot do that, like I just said, shit comes up, you're gonna cry and fuss and be disappointed in yourself for not actually keeping yourself to that exact time frame that you set for yourself. People like Danco is a very good guy on YouTube. He helped me realize the importance of structuring a schedule and actually realizing that it's not always actually going to go according to plan, and that helped me actually in turn get more done, because I wasn't as stressed out in between times trying to rush up a project just because I had something else within the next hour. When you do that, when you set time to do something and you realize you're about to roll over into the next hour, your quality of work goes down, because what you're doing is you're rushing yourself to put out something before it is ready. When this does happen, it is okay. Do not think that you have to finish a certain project within a certain amount of time, because like I just said, that's gonna fuck up the quality. If you do have to roll over time and work on something into another time block of something else that you were supposed to be working on, it is okay. And if you are tired and don't feel like working on the thing anymore, give it a break, because giving it a break is going to allow you to come back even stronger to work on that project even more. What has worked for me is a schedule, not hour by hour, but basically what you need to do first is write down a bunch of things that you need to get done for the day, and then look at your schedule and figure out about-ish how long it's going to take you to complete this, and know that in some areas you're going to have extra time. Great, try and work on something else, or give yourself a little rest break if needed. And in other areas, sometimes you're gonna go over, and that's okay. Don't do it hour by hour. Really think and meditate to yourself how long it is actually gonna take you to work on what it is you need to work on in front of you. And don't give yourself specific times. Give an ish of how long it's going to take you, and figure out how long you want to go into a certain deep workflow of what you want to get done. And after that, do something that is not as strenuous to you, something that you look forward to, so you're excited to finish what you're going to do, to go on to something that you may have been looking forward to do. That's going to help you get through the last task, because even though the next thing still is work, it's not as strenuous as the item you were just working on. I'll give you an example myself. My schedule for today: 8 a.m., wake up, get coffee, do my morning routine. And then after that, 9 to 10, what I like to do to get my brain actually working and hardwiring is listen to a podcast, and we drive around, go in my truck, get coffee, and drive around for about an hour, just get the gears turning in my brain, getting it ready to learn, getting new ideas in it, preparing it to work for the day. Some people in this world, they like, for whatever reason, they like immediately jumping into deep work. I feel like I need to let my brain warm up, just like I need to let my truck warm up today, because driving it immediately, it's not gonna work as it should. It needs to get ready. It needs to warm up all the gears before they start turning. Do whatever works for you. You may be the type of guy who can do that, and who actually can just go full speed right away, but I cannot. Just like a machine, my brain is a machine. It needs to warm up before I can work at full capacity. So that's what I do for an hour before I even start anything. Then after that, like I said, don't do it hour to hour. Those first two things in the day were easy to do hour to hour, because that's basically, I guess I'd call it filler time, but don't let the filler time confuse you with something that is unproductive, because 8 to 9, that's literally just like getting out of the phase, and I got it. The 9 to 10, that's filling my brain with information. That's not filler. That's taking time to rest and get my brain ready to work on what it needs to work on. And then my first little block of deep work, the block as a whole itself, it's from about 10 to 1:30, but there's blocks within the big blocks, like as in 10 to 12, I set a schedule for myself. I do whatever I can within that 10 to 12 schedule. I don't necessarily need to finish it or do any of these specific things in a certain time frame from within that block, but between 10 and 12 for myself today, I set a schedule to, I need to record 2 videos, I need to edit those 2 videos, and I should have said this first, but before that, actually script the 2 videos. And when I say script, I don't mean write out a whole page. What I like to do is sort of write out bulletin points of what I'm going to talk about, and I kind of go off into tangents on each bullet points, and the video ends up being however long it needs to be depending on whatever I wanted to say that day. That is a 10 to 12 block. If I structured it as in 10 o'clock record, 11 o'clock edit, or sorry, 10 o'clock script, 11 o'clock record, and 12 o'clock edit, I'm gonna drive myself crazy, because in reality it's not gonna take me an hour to record. It may take a little bit less, it may take a little bit longer, and if I end up going over the time, I'm gonna stress myself out, because I'm gonna say to myself, oh boy, I'm rolling over into the time that I need to edit. But in reality, it doesn't take me an hour to edit. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But and by telling myself get this stuff done within this time frame, I am allowing myself to work at my own pace and not actually get myself into a funk by not overthinking what I need to do. So set yourself bigger blocks of time frames and let yourself get activities done within that time frame, versus saying to yourself, work on this for an hour, because it's impossible to predict how long a task is going to take you. You need to just give yourself time to complete it. And when you complete one task, you see how much time you have left over, and you tell yourself that I have this much time, I have to complete this stuff in this much amount of time frame. You're not telling yourself that I have to complete it in this exact time interval. You're telling yourself you need to complete it within this time interval, which is a lot easier and a lot stressful on your brain. So 10 to 12, that's my block. I'm still workflow, so as of right now, we started at 9 listening to podcasts. That is work. That is something you have to focus on. That is something I have to discipline myself to do. So as of right now, from 9 to 12, listening to podcasts, getting my gears turning. I am scripting, I am recording, and then after that I am editing. And about 12 o'clock, that's when I take my rest, but it really isn't a rest, it's sort of an intellectual break. I'm more so moving on to something physical. So what I like to do at 12 o'clock, that's when I kind of put the cams down, put the computers down, take a break, which not really a break, I'm doing another form of work because I am tired of one form of work, which is the intellectual form of work. After that, I go to the gym. I try and gym for at least an hour. That is work. That is something that is making my brain and body stronger. It's not a fuck off task. The gym is something you need to do to grow stronger. I'm getting food. I need to put food in my body. That's also work. And I need to cook from 12 to 1:30. That's what I do. I gym, I get some food, I cook, and I chill until I reach that 1:30 point. It's resting the intellectual side of my brain to get me ready for the next workflow part of my day. So once I reach about 1:30, 2 o'clock, that's my rest interval, my actual rest interval between 1:30 and 2 o'clock, to actually just kind of unwind, figure out what I'm gonna do, plan for the next deep workflow, and kind of get anything easy that needs to be done and within that 1:30 and 2 o'clock window, like administrative tasks. Today, what I need to do between that 1:30 and 2 o'clock window is actually message my accountant to figure out what I need to pay for my 2023 taxes. That's another headache in itself, but that's just one quick email. That's stuff that I just need to, it's basically like a set it and forget it type of thing, email her, and then once I get to my next block where it needs to be an administrative type of task, I can schedule to look at that then. After that, 2 o'clock, that's when my next deep workflow starts. My next deep workflow is from about a 2 to 5 o'clock window, and again, the stuff that needs to be completed between 2 and 5 o'clock, it has no set time frame in which it needs to be completed. It's just get it done between that 2 and 5 window, and when I do get it done, work on the next task, work on the next important thing. So for 2 to 5, I have clip content, which means going through my long form content and figuring out what can be clipped out and put into short form content for TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and all those other good avenues. Clipping content, that's all I need to do is plug my videos into this really good AI software that clips out content, puts subtitles on it, and even puts emojis. And what I like to do to ensure it is actually good quality content is I go through it, and it allows you to edit it and clip out stuff that where AI may have messed up, clip out any not spelling errors, any errors with the subtitles that the AI might have gotten wrong, that it couldn't read what I was saying. Maybe it was due to me mumbling or a sound in the background or something like that. Basically just correct anything that the AI got wrong. AI is very intelligent, but not for specifics. Only a human can edit the specific things. I need to read in that time, and I usually set myself a goal to read 2 chapters of 2 books a day. Any more than that, and you start thinking about other things, and I think it's too much for you. If you can do more, good for you. But I have come to a sweet spot of about 2 books, 2 chapters, and taking notes on those books after I finish the chapter. And that normally takes me about an hour and a half, or an hour to an hour and a half, depending how long the chapters are that day. Chapters are anywhere in between 15 to 20 pages. So an hour and a half for 2 chapters. That's good. An hour and a half of reading a day is better than no reading a day. Between that, my 3-hour interval, there you go, half is already filled up by reading, clipping content, editing, and posting for 2 to 5. So between 2 and 5 o'clock, I'm clipping content, reading, editing, and actually posting the content to my small social media avenues. So that is another 3-hour block of work done. In total for today, or at the end of today, I will have from 9 to about 1 o'clock blocked out for work, and that's podcast, bank, record, edit, script, and gym. That's about from 9 to about 1. That's 4 hours of work right there, doing something productive. Fast forward to about 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock, as long as I complete that correctly, 2 to 5 o'clock, that's another 3 hours of work. So we got 4 plus 3. That's already 7 hours of work done by 5 o'clock. I'm not stressed out at all because I dedicated those time blocks to what I needed to do within that time frame. It's good. Come 5 o'clock, I like to give myself another intellectual break after going hard, sitting at my desk for another 3 hours. From 5 to 5:30, just chill, like I said, prepare. If my accountant texts me back, you know, I'll message her again, I'll figure out what you need to pay, make the payment. Come 5:30, yes, I'm still doing work, but I like to dial it back here because I have been doing deep intellectual work all day. I am trying to go back to a learning type of work instead of doing type of work. Doing type of work includes editing, recording like this, and just taking care of things that need to be done. 5:30 to 8 o'clock, that's another 2.5 hour window. When I'm finished with that, I'll be at 9.5 hours of work, and that's good. In that next deep work window, it's a little bit easier, but it still is work. From 5:30 to 8, I'm doing YouTube research. I can do that for however long as I want until I get sick of it. I just need to know to myself that I actually got something out of the research that I completed that day. So YouTube research, that's anything from how to get more convincing thumbnails, how to make better titles, how to get more engagement with your viewers and followers, things like that. Basically just advice on YouTube and how to grow. The next part of that 2.5 hour block, I can choose to do it whenever I want, is Reddit posts. Go on Reddit and write. When I write on Reddit, I go on forums that I am interested in, and I either reply to posts or I make posts of myself, questions to learn new things. And that is doing 2 things for me. That is helping me learn new things by reading questions that people have put and reading the answers. It is actually helping me become a better orator and speaker, because by writing this long form content on Reddit, I am learning how to structure my words and sentences better on paper, and therefore that is going to help me structure and say my words better vocally. Along with that, today I'm out of work right now. I'm a little slow, so I've recently applied to a bunch of jobs on Indeed.com, and today, I don't know if you know how Indeed.com works, but generally it's you submit a bunch of applications, and it's not actually submitting an application. You're basically submitting an application for the employer to send you an application. I got my CDL a few months ago. That's a story in another video. You can look at it if you want. But I applied to a bunch of trucking jobs just to kind of make some extra cash through the winter. And what I'll do in between that block of time is actually, that it is another productive thing, even though it is not towards YouTube. Surprisingly enough, as a YouTuber, I know I'm not that huge yet, but even when you are a huge YouTuber, and you will get there as long as you make schedules like this, there are things that need to be done in your personal life. And I'm using this block window of work, which it is work, to fill out these applications, to fill out as many applications as I can in that window between 5:30 and 8 o'clock. From 8 to 9, I need to give my brain a rest from the actual intellectual work I've been putting towards this goal of YouTube. And I'm not necessarily taking a huge rest. I'm dedicating 8 to 9 o'clock to something that is going to make me, not that YouTube doesn't make me happy, but something that is going to, something productive that I want to work on, instead of just sitting there looking at TikToks or watching retarded YouTube reels or anything like that. So for me personally, my 8 to 9 o'clock, I've been trying to get back into the Rubik's Cube again. I learned it really well when I was younger, but I'm dedicating that block of time to work on something that I'm interested other than YouTube. So it's either work on a Rubik's Cube algorithms and codes to get better at it, or try and practice on a guitar, another hobby that I wanted to try and get myself into, or work on comedy. I've been wanting to do some stand-up. I've been trying to prepare for a 5-minute set. I can work on whatever I want from 8 to 9 o'clock, and it doesn't even feel like work, because that's something I want to do. So either work on the Rubik's Cube, work on a guitar, or work on some new comedy skits. If I can fit all 3 into an hour and do it, but if I really want to get good at each of the 3 of them, if you really want to get good at anything, it's best to not split it up into small times. It's best to dedicate as much time to a difficult task as you can to actually get good at it, if you want to get good at it fast. That's another hour right there. And then from about 9 to 10 o'clock, that's like slow down, just prep for the next day, journal, maybe schedule out some tasks that need to be done tomorrow, and just fucking chill, okay? That's 9 to 10. Then 10 to 12, that's actually rest. Just rest, call my girl, unwind, figure out what's going on with her, just me time to let my mind unwind. And by 12 o'clock, pass out. Next day, wake up at 8 o'clock, 8 hours of sleep, rinse and repeat. Repeat that same schedule right when you wake up in the morning. Figure out what the fuck you're gonna do throughout the day. And if you have wrote some things yesterday that needed to be completed today, do so. Implement it into your next daily schedule. Yes, schedules are great, but you need to know you are stressing yourself out if you are trying to follow your schedule exactly hour to hour. Know that some things are going to take less than the intended time that you wrote for, and also that some of the things are going to take more time than the intended thing that you wrote for. Schedules are there just to help you stay on track and complete whatever it is you need to complete. They're not meant to be followed exactly. If you try to follow a schedule exactly, you will drive yourself goddamn insane.